It is 6 o'clock. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are going to get started. Thank you for those of you that are with us in the audience today. We're going to call the meeting to order. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to address the board, there are some slips on the back of the on the shelf as you enter into the room. At this time, we'll do a pledge of allegiance. Thank you. Sarah, will you please conduct a roll call?
Mrs. Simonetti? Mr. Reddy? Ms. Sharp? Here. Ms. Acton?
Here.
Ms. Hunt?
Here. Thank you. At this time, I will move to agenda item number 4, move to approve the agenda.
I motion to approve the agenda.
We have a motion in support of the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda has been approved. Agenda item number 5, Superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. As we discussed last month in June, I would bring back a superintendent report on the status of Sharp Park Academy dress code. I was able to meet with many families, students, administration, cabinet multiple times over at Sharp Park Academy, concluding the presentation where a number of students and families not only spoke here at the board level, but also emailed and had phone calls to my office and others. And so I wanted to go through kind of a listening and learning session to understand their perspective. We shared our perspective because that was some of the discussion, as they weren't exactly sure what that data looked like and how the district came to the conclusion that we did to make the change. So on July 1st, we hosted 2 town hall sessions, an AM and PM session with approximately 50 people in person, parents, staff, administration, who share heartfelt perspectives on what school uniforms meant to them. We had a lot of discussion along the way that students weren't especially fond of the uniforms, and that helped to support. We heard that here at the board table as well. I did hear that from other parents that called back, but nearly 99%. There was one person who emailed me that they didn't want to change again the decision, but 99% of the folks that spoke to me after the board meeting were strong proponents, especially for this age group. So we had conversation about the rest of the district dress code, and is there anything that JPS can learn in other spaces like middle school and high school and other buildings that don't have dress code? And they had less suggestions about fixing the dress code. More importantly, than they had established a culture of what they wanted to see in Sharp Park, and a number of people who have been lifelong Vikings, as well as folks that just chose Sharp Park to come to Jackson Public Schools. So in light of the strong and consistent input from families and staff, we decided as a cabinet to reinstate the school uniform policy for the 2025-2026 school year. I did a robocall, an email, in person, social media, and communicated with Principal Lusby to help make sure all families got this information in a timely manner, including those who had just registered. You had kindergarten families that came and did roundup, and she was up to the task, and they continued to provide support like they have in the past for any families that have hardship or concerns. But to just summarize, the Sharp Park community is strongly in favor, and we didn't want to do anything to upset that. Part of our decision was made on the one-offs, if you will. But this is something that is going very well, and the parents and staff were very strong proponents. And so we decided to reinstate that policy for the upcoming school year. I have more information, but if you would like me to continue or you have specific questions, please let me know.
Can I ask just one question? Have you had any negative feedback since announcing that you were reinstating it?
Zero negative feedback. Thank you, Jackson Public Schools. I appreciate you listening. Thank you for hearing us. This means so much. We have a good thing going. It's the age, all positive. Zero negative. Okay. I have one more thing that I have on the superintendent's report, and that is the JPS electric school bus event that was held on July 15th at Loomis Park. We had our food services out for a nice meal in the park. We had anticipated maybe 200 could potentially show up, and throughout the day, I think we've seen well over 100 and headed to 200. We had our partners from Highland electric school bus provider here with us partnering, and they have done this in other communities, and so we decided this would be a great way to showcase about 1 year in with electric buses, where is Jackson Public Schools. So we had a lot of discussion about our fleet, about how it's been received from the community, from our students, and the funsy part of the event was we were making snow cones because they wanted to have discussion about how the electric vehicles could potentially be used as generators in crisis situations. Now, there was no emergency other than it's been warm this summer, and so it was a lot of fun having the kids come up and the families come up to engage with us, and that's a highlight for me, is just an opportunity to see our kids, talk with our families, and have something positive to celebrate the things that are happening at Jackson Public Schools. The second part of my celebration was this is a lot of resources that have been saved by having a healthy fleet that's been provided to us, and we took advantage of that so we could use those dollars elsewhere. So it's been a tremendous partnership in year one. We have future plans moving forward, and it was just a great way to have a community event that was well received. So we had a lot of media coverage that was positive out of the deal, and so that was pretty eventful itself. Marcus, is there anything that I missed or future plans that you would like to share?
I think you covered most of it. I think some of the committee or the board knows about our plans to demo some other EV vehicles coming up. A food service box truck and our maintenance van will be demoing on the electric side for this coming school year to see if that's something that could work at JPS as well.
Great community partnerships, an opportunity to engage with our community, and just having fun in Jackson Public Schools in a positive light within the community. So thanks for those who are in attendance, and thank you for letting me share out on those two topics that are important to Jackson Public Schools. This concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Excuse me. At this time, we will move to agenda item number 6, the consent agenda. I would like to pull item 25-26-3 for discussion. At this time, entertain a motion to approve the agenda with that one item being removed.
I move to approve the, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda except for 25-26-3.
Support.
Any deliberation? Then I'll go. So I just wanted to, couple questions, Marcus. We are aware that there's some uncertainties regarding our districts, the funds that are coming down from the federal government. And so within this item, agenda item, there are some increases. And can you just
So,
speak?
point of order, Does this now move to
Discussion.
an act, right, but I mean, do we need to approve the consent agenda and continue on? And that comes back under action items?
You said, repeat that one more time, I'm sorry.
So Marilyn's motion was to approve the consent agenda minus that one item.
And come back as an
So-
action item.
Right, so that
Apologize.
one moves on the agenda, right, to an
Okay.
action item?
My apologies. To pull it for discussion. All right, at this time, I make a motion to pull item 25-26-3. We have a motion and support. We will move that agenda item to action item. Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor of moving this item from the consent agenda?
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, item has been moved from the consent agenda and will be in item 9 under action item. Well, I'm about to, yes, yes. Go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We do not have any citizens to address the board. So this is a first. Agenda item number 8, discussion item 24-25-4, elementary handbooks, common pages. Julie.
Good evening and thank you. We, a committee of all of our principals and assistant principals had an opportunity to really go through the common pages, both elementary and secondary, with a fine-tooth comb. This is something that we've been wanting to do for a while, particularly looking at the student code of conduct, because there was language that we weren't comfortable with that didn't fit the work that we're doing with restorative practices or with regard to the implementation of PBIS in our district. And we really wanted to see these align more. And we have a couple of principals here tonight that can help to answer any questions that you might have. The main changes that were made, we updated links in the common pages. There were some residual links that were no longer good after our transition from the consortium. And so we updated those links. We did add some information about bed bugs and some links for parents under head lice and bed bugs, just as a support for district people, but also for families that might need some help with that. We added some guidance around when it was appropriate to keep your child at home on page 7. What those communicable diseases, what they are, and under what circumstances. We suggest that parents keep their children home for 24 hours to resolve fever, or diarrhea, or other things to slow the spread of any communicable diseases. And then the biggest changes that we made, you'll see when you go to page 13, I believe it's in both packets. Under the elementary code of conduct for elementary, I'll focus on elementary to start, although the changes are everything is very similar. Starting on page 13, we really wanted to draw more attention to the fact that we needed to consider the 7 factors Those 7 factors are labeled better in the box at the top, and they are listed. And then we also talked about we've got a behavior. Well, we're working on a consistent behavior matrix and rubric that we'll be using in all of the buildings. So we wanted to point that out in the next paragraph down. And then you'll see that each of the procedures, which are, they equate to consequences, those have been reworked to give our principals a little bit more wiggle room, but also we added restorative practices under each of these. So it allows our principals to be to make decisions based on circumstances, the 7 factors, but also to be able to push in those restorative practices to make sure that we're helping kids learn how to handle their problems in some situations and not just reacting. We also added a procedure F because it's in response to us seeing more threats, hearing kids make more threats towards adults, other students. We've done more threat assessments to really gauge the seriousness of those threats in the last year than we probably have ever done threat assessments combined throughout the years. So we really wanted to get clear about how those are going to be handled in each of our buildings. So you'll see under restorative procedure F, that's an entirely new procedure that we added. Other than that, for each of the definitions, we double checked each of the procedures that we wanted to make sure that they were appropriate for elementary, and we checked them against secondary. There was one that used to be in here, disruptive behavior. And I think that, what was that? Was it disruptive behavior? What was the one that everything, disorderly behavior was one that everything seemed to fall under. And so we worked really hard because we wanted to make sure that we are being very descriptive about the behaviors that we're seeing so that we can look at the trends and we could be more responsive. And so we did a good job of breaking that one down and putting those pieces in other places where they belonged. So now we've got disruptive behavior, which is much more descriptive of some of the things that we're seeing and not just talking back, those types of things. We also updated in the elementary code of conduct number 10, which is student dress and attire. It was very vague under the elementary one, so it really matches what we're seeing for secondary. Any other big changes that you can think of? We did add. Mhm. Took out some things that were outdated, like having a radio at school and some other things. We got clearer about communication devices. We added number 35, unsafe conduct, to address some of the throwing of furniture, the elopement that we're seeing. Those are on the rise. And then the last one, 36, inappropriate use of technology. When we're seeing, now that we're one-to-one, we're seeing more incidents where technology is being treated very roughly, and then also that it's being used inappropriately when we're videotaping things happening on the bus or something like that, or it's being used to have inappropriate conversations, in the school. So we tried to add some things to address some of the reality, of being in school during, 2025-26, and to get rid of some of the things that really aren't issues anymore. Anything else that you'd like to add? We're so appreciative of you being here. They're great conversations. So yeah, we removed minor in possession pieces. That's really something that falls outside of our code of conduct. It's a response by law enforcement as opposed to what we would be doing. And then we also took out language. One of our most hated terms that was in here was actually in one of the numbers, and it was habitual offender. And every time that we heard it, it was nails on a chalkboard, so we made sure that that came out. We really want this to be a more restorative practice and a more restorative code of conduct. So very intentional work. And we thought we could get it done in 2 hours, and we wound up meeting for another 2 sessions after that, that were about 2 hours. So great time spent.
Julie, can you give us an example of a reflective assignment?
A reflective assignment would be if a student is sent to a reset room to kind of think about what's happened. It might be to reflect on, there's like a think sheet to think about what happened, who it may have impacted, how one might go about making it right, or fixing the hurt that may have been that may have occurred because of that. Can you give any other suggestions?
So the teacher has the opportunity to be creative and come up with a reflective assignment based on that specific behavior with that individual child. So there's no standard forms that teachers are using currently?
We do have think sheets in a lot of our reset rooms where there's a standard form that they can fill out with the help of somebody in the elementary reset rooms that will lead them through that process of, what did I do? What was the impact? Who was harmed? Those types of things. What should I do next time? Those types of questions.
I would add that we're consistently training people in CPI, or crisis prevention intervention, and step one is de-escalation. And so we have trainers within trainers in our own school district that we send our folks to, especially early career teachers or teachers that this is part of their IDP. And part of the training there is 15-second intervention that would be consistent, and talking through what's been shared as far as the restorative practices versus the punitive practice of removing from that tier one instruction, and explicitly restating the expectations, right, in a positive manner. This is what you're supposed to be doing versus the punitive and the instant removal from the classroom environment.
Now, are these tracked, these think forms are kept with the students' records? Is there data on how many times that a student receives a reflective assignment, and where is that information?
When a student goes to a reset room, there is a record of that student spending that 15, 20 minutes there. And then most of the time, I believe like a reflective sheet, a think sheet, has a space at the bottom for the parent to sign. So the student needs to take that home and have the parent talk to them about what happened and sign off that they've seen it. So.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay. Last question, I think. Is there an expectation across the board, Julie, I think this question is for you,
Mhm.
for all teachers on how they record that information? Is there an expectation that
It
they
is.
enter it? And yes.
Yes, and that is a piece that we're still working on as a district, is building in that consistency. It's part of our MTSS, PBIS implementation. So next steps on this, we've just finished this. I mean, honestly, they just finished it by the skin of their teeth before they went home for the summer. And we are working with John Wright. Those numbers now have to line up with the log entries that everybody fills in. And we're, that a teacher inputs when there's been a behavior incident or there's been a visit to the reset room. There's a log entry for that. And so those numbers are going to help us to sift through the data. But the other thing that we're working on is making sure that we're improving the way that we're doing those log entries so that it is looking at what was the antecedent, what was the behavior, what was the consequence, and getting away from language that isn't helpful to us moving that student forward. And so that's part of the implementation that we're going to get on the same page. We're going to improve the log entry itself so we get better data from it. And then we're going to be doing training with all of our teachers to do those log entries so that we're getting more consistent and more effective with how those are being entered.
Thank you, Julie. Julie, when you get to the point of that full implementation, we'd be happy as a board to know how that's
Sure.
working. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Anything else?
Can I just say thank you for the work that's been done? We do this work annually, but it's not just checking the boxes, but they went through very thoroughly, so much that we delayed bringing it for discussion in front of the board. And so I can bring it again, back again next month in August for action, unless you're satisfied with what you've seen and heard today.
Thank you so much for your time. We were very excited to have the opportunity to sit down and finally do this. Every time we saw the habitual offender, it made the hair stand up on the back of our necks. So we're really happy with the changes that have been made. Thanks for your attention.
Cheryl?
Yeah, thank you for your work on this. I will say I found these very easy to follow. I thought they flowed well. I'm a nurse, you all know that. I appreciate the medical information, the communicable diseases. I thought it was pretty well laid out. My question is the distribution process. It seems, and I would think, that it's a struggle to assure that students and parents actually see this and read it. So what is that plan for distribution?
These all are the beginning part, or actually I think they're the second half of building student handbooks. So buildings, as they finish their portion of their handbooks for students, it's added to the front of this. And then there is a space on each of the websites where we have the student handbook available for parents to read through. But I agree, we used to print these out and send them home with every student. I think that we do need to probably communicate, maybe even have principals share the link on our social media and really draw attention to it, because there's so much important, helpful information here.
I think it's
Maybe-
brought up at back to school night as well, that you guys
Yes.
talk about your student handbooks at back to school night and where they can find the information as well. We don't print them anymore because they don't get read anyway. So, you know, this is really about communication from the principals at the back to school nights. That's a big part of it. That's when they bring them up mostly. And then parents do refer to it. More parents read it than you think they do. So
You read it when you need to. Or maybe if you print and send home just the signature page with an offer for a hard copy if needed or something. I don't know, but that seems to be the struggle for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
I just want to say one other thing, that our next board meeting is the night before the next day of school. And so if you are happy with these and it feels like you want to approve it tonight, that would be helpful to us so that we can have them on the website before the first day of school and before all those back to school nights. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. We'll hear from the secondary. And nothing further from you, Jeremy?
No, nothing
Okay.
further. There was an effort to remain consistent from both levels. And so you heard from secondary here and the action and the work that was done today, so nothing further.
So in light of the fact that there were really no content issues, I would make a motion to approve both the elementary handbook and the secondary handbook as written.
Support.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? All right. Elementary and secondary handbooks, the common pages have been approved. Thank you. Agenda item number 9, 25-26-6, approve the bond proposal. Marcus.
All right, so last month at our June meeting, the board voted to formally submit our bond application for pre-qualification to MDE, which has been approved. I believe the approval letter is within the packet here. The next step is for the board to approve the attached resolution, formally authorizing us to put the bond issue to the voters with the attached ballot language in the fall. So at this time, we would recommend approving the attached resolution to submit to the county for the November election.
Thank you, Marcus. At this time, I'll entertain
I move to approve the bond proposal.
support. Any deliberation?
I have a question. So I just wanted some clarification on the official ballot language. It's the second to the last paragraph. It's the last sentence. I just didn't understand this when it says, the estimated computed millage rate required to be levied to pay the proposed bonds may change in the future based on changes in certain circumstances.
I think what that means, and I get this sometimes from residents, our overall millage rate as a district will not change. It's 5.95 mils. It will be 5.95 mils. Remember, we have several different debt issues that we pay off that make up that 5.95, depending on our debt schedule. And each year, our payments are going to change a little bit. So within that 5.95, each issue will require a slightly different millage each year. But in
Thank you.
total, it's 5.95.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the bond proposed language for the ballot, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Agenda item 25-26-7, board treasurer vacancy. Go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Trustee Reddy for the position of board treasurer.
I support that nomination.
We have a nomination. Any other nominations? presented. Nomination to have trustee Suba Reddy fill the vacancy for the treasurer position. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposition. Motion carries. Thank you, Suba Reddy, for your willingness to fill this vacancy.
Thank you.
At this time, we will move to 25-26-3 JPA and JESPA and JPSS SAA contract extensions. Marcus, just some discussion on how these extensions impact our existing budget.
Before Marcus gets started down, would you like paper copies of everything? And I don't know if you want to go through item by item, like contract by contract, or just in totality of all three? Paper copies? Okay, good, okay.
All right, so for these three groups, as you're aware, all of their contracts expired as of June 30th, 2025. And yes, as we still do not have a state budget, so there is some financial uncertainty, but we do not want to have employees working without a contract. So we met with each group in the hopes of more or less extending their current contracts by a year and being able to provide some sort of close to a cost of living increase or allow people to move within steps within their contract, the current salary schedule. So we were able to work with two of the groups and allowing them to move steps. So we didn't make adjustments to the salary schedule, so that remains the same. Employees will step as they typically would. Those at the top of the step and not able to participate in steps will participate in an off-schedule payment, which is approximately 2%, which is similar to the amount of the steps based on the groups. The numbers on the sheet, if you've had a chance to look at them, are all inclusive of things like FICA and retirement costs. And again, are kind of a, not worst case, but an all-in number. The number could be less than that. You know, with regards to our TAs and our pairs, the JESPA and the JPA group, you know, we made the decision to be a little bit more consistent with some of the other groups in the district in terms of holiday pay. And they had asked for a few additional paid holidays, being hourly employees, and also some of the, you know, less paid employees of the district. We thought that was a good thing to be able to offer them, knowing we'll still be back at the bargaining table next year to, you know, bargain multi-year contracts, which is typically what we like to do here in the district to secure long-term commitments for those groups. You know, all in for all three of these groups, if everything came to pass, we'd be looking at approximately $400,000 cost for all three. Again, that's inclusive of retirement and FICA expenses as well. That number could be less, just depending on people's circumstances and whether they take cash options for certain things or not. And then again, you know, we are hopeful for a favorable state budget in the coming weeks or days, hopefully. You know, in my 13 years, I've never seen 2 years of a no increase foundation allowance, so that gives me some hope. Again, that $2 million that I did bring last month was, again, a worst case scenario. If nothing happens, nothing changes. So that would be the financial impact this year for extending these three groups and, you know, really giving the groups, the employees, that job security and being able to be secure in what they're able to earn and do for us this coming year. We don't want people working without a contract. And, you know, we want to be able to have as many people or everybody participate in some sort of financial incentive.
Thank you, Marcus. I just personally had some concerns regarding the buyouts, individuals that we had a large number of staff that took the voluntary severance package. We are backfilling some of those positions. All of those positions haven't been filled. I understand that some of those retirements took away those higher salary staff. And just with so much uncertainty from our budget, as our CFO, you feel confident that as a district, we have the bandwidth to extend these and add in these additional holidays and the 400,000 plus.
Yeah, I do feel comfortable with the contracts that we have negotiated. Of course, there's a give and take on both sides, and everybody understands the situation that we're in. And on the other hand, we want to be able to both retain and recruit, employees. We will have vacancies throughout the year as people come and go as they do. But again, we budget for the worst, and a lot of times, as you have seen, we've been able to meet or beat those expectations. But I am comfortable in what we have negotiated and being able to get us through until next spring and hopefully some more budget certainty, both at the state and the federal level.
Any other discussion? Thank you, Marcus. Trustee Simonetti.
I would like to make a motion to approve the JPA, the JESPA, and the JPSAA contract extensions.
Support.
We have a motion and support on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Motion passes. At this time, we will move to agenda item number 10, board comments. Any comments from the board? Trustee Reddy.
I got one quick question. This is for Marcus. I know we bought the electric buses, right? Did we get any tax credit on those? I'm just curious.
So we did not purchase the buses. Again, we partnered with Highland Electric. So as a nonprofit, we're not allowed to take advantage of those tax incentives. However, Highland is, so that's where our partnership comes in. We were recipients of that rebate money, so we purchased the buses and then turned around and sold them back to Highland. So we have funds available sitting, earning interest. So when our partnership ends, we'll be able to, if we need to, replace those buses down the road.
Nice. Thank you. Since we are done with all the questions, the board comments, two things. I would like to thank Mr. Patterson for visiting Sharp Park Academy and meeting all the parents, because I heard from a lot of parents and teachers what happened that day. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there that day, but we are sending a message that we're listening and we're making a difference. So you being there means a lot for a lot of folks out there. So thank you. Second thing, I would like to thank you. I don't know whose idea it is, but to have that event for electric buses is unbelievable, because I work at Consumers Energy, and people think that I own Jackson Public Schools, because there's so many people came up to me, hey, that was awesome. You know, they seen on television, they seen on MLive. You know, it went pretty far. So thank you for organizing everyone, being part of that. That was an amazing event. And lastly, I would like to thank my team for electing me to be the treasurer. And I'm excited to work with Marcus. I know I am covered by strong individuals right here. Yep. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other board comments? Trustee
I
Simonetti.
thought it was a good meeting. I'm happy to be out of here before 7. It's always at the top. Congratulations to you, Suba. Happy to see you take that role. And I was at the Highland bus demo, and a couple things that stuck out to me was that the bus was running the entire time. The whole event was going on, and you didn't hear a thing and you didn't smell a thing. And the Highland guy gave me like my private little tour of the whole pilot area. It was all It was very awesome. And one thing that he said, and I kind of have a couple questions for you, Marcus, with this, is that there's only 2 districts in Michigan that have these buses. Is it just 2 districts with Highland or 2 districts?
Yep, so Highland has 2 districts in Michigan, us being one,
Dearborn.
and Dearborn
Yeah.
inquired during our partnership, and I referred them to Dearborn.
So I thought it was impressive too that, so Highland is in Chicago, but they are relocating someone to Michigan to service
So
these
they're-
2 districts.
That's a regional office for them. I think their corporate office is in Massachusetts. They're all over the country.
Right,
but
but
yeah,
nothing
out of
in
this-
Michigan.
Yeah.
So
and-
they're
and
putting
we've-
someone here.
Yeah, they've been working with some people
Yeah.
dedicated to Michigan. Yep.
Yeah, so I was impressed by the whole thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Board comments? Elena?
Just want to express appreciation for all of you, all the hard work you're doing in the summer and before school ended on things that are going to make a big difference for teachers and students in the classroom. So just know how much you are appreciated, and thank you so much for what you're doing.
So I was at the EV bus exhibition also. It was awesome, and it was so well attended. But I wanted to have a shout out. My goodness, the food services was unreal. There was a grill. They had hamburgers, brats, hot dogs, baked beans. They gave the kids a package of Rice Krispie treats, apple, chips, and water and popsicles. So I had a couple children with me. I usually do. I always have kids around me. And they just loved it. It was so much fun. So food services does just a wonderful job. And Mr. Patterson, I did want to say thank you for reinstituting what the parents wanted at Sharp Park. They wanted those uniforms, and it just shows our district is not top down, and we are not cookie cutters, and that parents have a voice. And I just really am honored that I'm working with you and that this is what goes on here. So, and thank you for all the staff, the teachers, parapros, everyone. Oh, everyone's on vacation, of course, but I hope you're having a great time. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. I too had the opportunity to go to the electric bus event, and it was great. It was really great to see. I actually walked around and talked to some of the parents and discovered that there were some bus drivers, retired bus drivers that came back, and their grandchildren are in the district participating in our elementary school. So that was really awesome. Again, another nice meeting. Quick meeting. It is 7 o'clock right now. Thank you for your participation. Congratulations, Suba. We look forward to you exercising your skill set. You have, a double major in finance, and so we appreciate that. Other than that, I will move to agenda item number 10. We have our next regular school board meeting. It is in the Media Center here at 6 p.m. on August 19th at 6 p.m. Agenda item number 11.
I moved
Could
to
I,
adjourn.
sorry, could I add a few more things to your calendar? We do have 2 breakfasts if you'd like to join us. On August 18th, at the cafeteria here in Jackson High, we'll be having a breakfast for all our contracted employees, which is Taher, EnviroClean, Mets, our bus drivers, and our facilities and technology folks. That will be one breakfast, and that is from 8 to 9. And then there's another breakfast on the 19th, and these are both welcome back events. We have, obviously, in terms of saving money, have done something a little bit different. We will be at Gene Davis for a breakfast, which could only house about 700. That's why we had 2 split events. But after that, there is a keynote speaker. That breakfast starts at 7:30? 7:30. But please carpool because they have 4 spaces for 700 people. But we look forward to that event. We also will be giving out some JPS little gift. If you'll get it anyway, but if you show up, you'll get it too. So anyways, those are the 18th and 19th. So 8 to 9 on the 18th in Jackson High cafeteria, and on the 19th at 7:30 to 9 at the Gene Davis catering. And those are both back to school events for our employees. And then don't forget to look for our events coming up for open houses, for Step Up for 6th grade, 5th to 6th, and our other kindergarten boot camp. So those
Thank
are all
you.
happening.
Thank you, thank you. All right, Marilyn.
I move to adjourn.
All right. Support, we have a motion and a support to adjourn. Meeting is over. 6:50.